And welcome back to the Ask Coach Phil Now show alongside Kelly Phil Now. I'm Dave Erickson. Our topic today has to do with doing back-to-back triathlons. This question is, as an age grouper, is it wise for me to try to do back-to-back 70.3 races and why?
Back to back weekends?
Yes.
Okay. It depends on the person's history in the sport and also what their end goal is. I personally am not a fan of doing back to back 70.3s just because there's so much wear and tear on your body when you're racing at a hard level, and you're also putting yourself, your body needs that time to recover after a race. So if you're just kind of using the first 70.3 for, a 5 or 6 hour, training day, well, that's a long day to have, your next race is your A level race and you want to perform to the best of your ability. So, I mean, there are plenty of athletes that use that strategy, but I, as a coach, am not the biggest fan of racing back to back because I like to have a proper taper where your body's ready to go. Maybe an Olympic distance race where you're putting that really hard effort, but it's like a 2 hour day as opposed to, over double that. And then, or even a sprint, if you need that racing experience for sure, race, but I would not, I don't think that it's setting the athlete up for success on that second race when you're racing so close because, a lot of athletes just don't give their body the type of recovery that they need. And when you want to get to that second race fresh, I mean, you'll be fit for sure because you've had all that fitness leading up to that first race, but at the end of the day you're not going to be fresh for that second race. So I would say ask the question, what's the reason that is behind doing these two races so close, and analyze that. If it's just for experience and they're both within close distance and proximity to where you live, that is less stress on your mind and body when you're not having to travel far for the race. But I would recommend just giving some more space between your big races because the 70.3 does have a lot of destruction on the body, and it's something that we can't just take lightly.
As a professional athlete like yourself, you can probably do those because that's what you do for a living, and we see other professionals do that back-to-back races. But for age groupers, what is the realistic expectation and the probably the biggest wear and tear on the athlete's body that second race, in your opinion?
Definitely from the run. It's a lot to ask your body to go hard for those 13 miles after you just swam for 1.2 miles and biked for 56. And you're going at a hard effort. I mean, that's over 85% effort for the 5 to 6 hour day. And so that leaves a lot of fatigue in the body. And then oftentimes after that first race, people are starting to feel good and then they jump up back into too much intensity too soon. So I think, there are some athletes that will see success on that second race, but I think from the age groupers don't have as much volume as some of the pros who do race on back-to-back weekends too, and that makes a big difference if you don't have that amount of volume to back up that kind of load.
What would you say for the average age group or maybe the middle of the packer? What kind of distance between 70.3s when they're planning their season? How many weeks should they put between 70.3s to have the best results if they're going to be consistent with their training?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on how many 70.3s you're going to have in the season, but if you're racing in a pretty tight schedule, then I would say 6 weeks is more ideal. So, I like to have my athletes maybe have one in April, May, early season, and then one in the middle of the summer, and then one maybe in October. And so they can fully recover after each 70.3, and then your body's able to respond a lot better than just so close. And I mean, never even raced back to back 70.3s before. And but there are plenty of athletes that do that and they do have success, but it's all about making sure you're recovering properly, whether or not it's getting that good nutrition immediately after that race, having that 4-to-1 carb to protein ratio, restoring the depleted glycogen stores, doing your recovery boots if you have them, getting a massage, and that makes a huge difference and getting sleep, doing those little things to enhance recovery. But if you just go through the motions of recovery and you don't eat well after, then your body's not going to be able to bounce back as well. Because at the end of the day, you're putting so much time, age groupers, pros, you're putting so much time and effort into your training that you want to have good results. Like, most athletes aren't just getting to the starting line to get to the finish line. You want to be successful. So in order to have that success, I think having a little bit just more time to properly recover, properly build, and then, have that good taper so you're fit and fresh when it comes to getting to that starting line.
If you have a question for Kelly, use the hashtag AskCoachPhil now on Twitter, Facebook, or YouTube. Kelly, thanks.
Thank you.